Well, hello, everyone. It's your girl, Gabrielle. Welcome to a brand new episode of my podcast, Hot Topics. Let me tell you what this show is about. So, this is the show where I have guests who like to have real conversations about real things pertaining to real people, right? Pertaining to common things that are very important to us. So, such, excuse me, such things as education, mental health, physical health, self care, all that mushy gushy stuff, but all with the intention of you being 1% better than how you were yesterday. And today is no different. Today is a very special episode because I am my own guest today. So let me tell you what the topic is today. Excuse me. So the topic today is, why am I still single? Why am I still single? So that is the topic for today. And let me just tell you about myself as I am my own guest. So, while I, Gabrielle Crichlow, attended graduate school, I worked for two companies at which I tutored students at no cost to me. So while I was working at both of these companies, I saw the academic struggles of working class families that were disproportionately people of color. So I believed that the little allotment of hours that they received was not enough for them because they only got 26 hours of tutoring for the year. Furthermore, I believe that the children in these families tended to have unknown or underdiagnosed learning disabilities, and they were almost illiterate and undereducated. So I reached a point where I realized that these families deserved so much more than that. That's when a light bulb went off in my head. I will start my own company. So my experiences at these companies provided me with the insight that I needed to excel at and enjoy tutoring while inspiring other tutors to do the same. And in 2013, I founded my own company, A Step Ahead Tutoring Services, and I have operated it ever since. And that leads me to today. So, Hot Topics is under my company, A Step Ahead Tutoring Services. That leads me to today. All right. So, I am going to play a special presentation where I was a guest on a podcast called the Truth of the Matter podcast. So the host is Dr. Lamarr Spencer. So let me just put that up there. So I'm not going to do a lot of talking, but I'm actually going to repurpose a episode that I was on for her podcast. Again, the podcast is called The Truth of the Matter podcast. The host is Dr. Lamarr Spencer. So I wanted to take a moment to shout out that podcast. So on that podcast, I answered the question, why am I still single? So it was a very hot topic for me, and it was an interesting topic to explore. You know, why am I not married yet, or why am I not dating yet? And this was an interesting dive into that. And, with Dr. Spencer's permission, I wanted to replay it for Hot Topics today. So let me take a moment to shout out her podcast. I encourage you to listen and subscribe. It is called The Truth of the Matter podcast. Dr. Lamarr Spencer is the host. And I'm just take another moment to encourage you to go and follow her on Facebook. It is just facebook.com/Dr. Lamarr Spencer. You will actually find the original recording there. So I wanted to replay that episode for you, as I'm sure it is very common for a lot of people to wonder, why am I still single? Because it haunts me sometimes. I'm in my late 30s, not married yet, no kids, and that's a very common fear, I think, among people in my age group. And so on the show, I tackled that fear. Well, I attempted to. I don't know if I did very well with that. So I thought it was a very hot topic, and I wanted to replay it for you guys today. So let me go ahead and the start playing it. So okay, so here it is. I'm pulling it up on my screen right now. So again, I just want to reiterate that this is a replay of an old episode on this podcast, and I wanted to add it to Hot Topics today. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and play this episode. Why am I still single?
Well, hello everyone. Good morning, afternoon, evening, depending on where you are. Welcome to the Truth and Matter podcast with me, Dr. Lamarr Spencer, and I have a special guest on today, Gabrielle Crichlow. Well, let me just tell you, she is a phenomenal person. She is my fellow podcaster. So we're going to give you her information so you can check her out too. I love everything she's doing. She's been teaching me a lot. So let's get right into it. So today we're going to talk about why am I still single? And believe it or not, it's not as easy as people deem it to be about being single. I had someone say to me not so long ago, there shouldn't be people who are single unless they want to be. There's someone out there for everyone. And yes, there is someone out there possibly for everyone, but is it a fit for you? And are you a fit for them? And so the question seems easy, but I can tell you it's not easy. And it's not like you're setting your standards just so high to the point where they're unattainable or that you can't even meet those expectations. So, welcome to the podcast today, Gabrielle. I'm glad to have you on.
Thank you for having me. This is awesome.
Yes, I love it. So, what's going on? You want to know why are you still single? Is that correct?
Yeah, I'm full disclosure, I'm 35. I guess why am I still single? What do I want to say about that? I I haven't I'm kind of a weird person in that I haven't I don't want to say that I've never dated. I mean I had a few little boyfriends, when I was in middle school, elementary school, but in terms of my adult life, I will say that I've never dated. Um, I guess I feel I don't know how to approach it. And especially now in these days where, every dating is online. And now there's apps and dating, and I guess I don't know where to start. And I think also I feel like I'm in my own head sometimes. Like it's I feel like, oh, am I really ready for dating? Am I really ready to open myself up? I guess I maybe I second guess, I doubt myself. So my brother found his wife online. My sister did it the old school way. They just ran into each other in college. I guess, and I haven't been lucky, with running into my soulmate in college. Because I guess I am an introvert as well, so I guess it's a lot of different things. It's like I tend to be introverted. I don't really know how to approach dating. Um, and I guess I feel like I have my own business, so I'm usually occupied with that. So it's a lot of different things when it comes to that. But it is something that I'm open to, and I guess I also have a fear about like the crazy guy. um, when you hear those stereotypes about the crazy guy who's stalking you, who doesn't want to take no for an answer. And what if I run into someone or I date someone that I don't really want to continue that relationship with? And how do I say no to them? How do I turn them down? How do I explain to them why I don't want to turn them down? How I want to turn them down, excuse me. So there's that fear that I have as well about what do I need to do when I need to reject somebody? What do I need to do when I need to turn somebody down? So it's a lot of different things that's going on with me.
Yeah. Well, I hear a lot of different what ifs and coulda, shouldas, right? So,
Yeah.
like me, when I help clients with their relationship or getting into a relationship, the first thing I always recommend is having a relationship with yourself, right? So that's
Yeah.
first and foremost. The second part is about when you say, where do you meet them and all of these things. And, things are a little different now. And so I would definitely strongly say is it's okay to date, even if you do not get into a relationship with a person. It's almost like try before you buy. That's not saying you have to be intimate with everyone, but it's okay to date. And also, you're right. From my perspective, I am sort of old school in a way, but then also I'm very I understand social media now is powerful. So that could be two parts, right? And I always tell them, I'm like, look, if you want to go old school, go to Home Depot or Lowe's or, one of your construction sites at like 6, 7 in the morning, because all your construction guys are there. And then like Thursday and Friday, everyone's at the bank cashing checks and stuff, right? So I know that sounds like antiquated, but it's really not, because most of the people now are really back to work, right? And even during the COVID, like when it came to like electricians, plumbers, construction workers, blue collar workers, they were working probably more than now. And the reason why is because people were at home and now people are going back into the workplace. So you can find someone there. But the bottom line is you have to be open and you have to be accessible for them to find you. So the other side of that, like you said, social media. Now, of course, most people have some type of social media platform. And I do believe, and I've even come across someone, people say that they are not on social media. And there's people who are really not on social media. It doesn't mean that they don't want to be found or any of this sort. It's just that some people are not on social media, and it could be because of their work, right? So that could be something else. But one thing I would suggest is, if interested, just try it out. You'd be surprised to go onto a dating site. Now, I will say this: what I do with my clients, I walk them through before you even sign up. You can sort of look to see uh, what the pool is that you might be interested in. So, one thing I can say is you can be kind of like, I call it like peeping in without them knowing. And so before we even get to, okay, swiping yes, no, or whatever, we look to see what's out there. Now, geographical areas plays a part, right? And the
Yeah.
reason why I say that is because, yes, I know sometimes someone may say, well, love is not always going to be in your back door. And that is true. But do you want to get on a plane all the time? Do you want to waste a tank of gas to go see someone? There is a thing called preferences, and you are entitled to that, right? You are. So if you look at the pictures out there, let's just say, foremost, you pay for what you get. If you go on a $10 site a month, you're going to get $10. Going to get $10 quality. That's just how it is, right? You're going to get all the riffraff. It's almost like a net where you sift through the ones that you can deal with, or ones like you're like definitely not. And I say, even if you were to go to a dating website, pay attention to the details. The smallest little details that you have to pay attention to. For instance, without the whole Photoshop and all of that, right? Where are they? Are they taking pictures in different sceneries, right? Now, like I said, be mindful of the Photoshop. Pay attention to the scenery. Okay, fine. Are they sitting on top of cars? They trying to profile the cars, the jewelry, all of the materialistic things they have. Because bottom line is, once you reach a certain age, the materialistic things are not important. Like if you're just, sitting on top of a car, holding the phone as money and all that, that's not something that you may be interested in. Now there are people who could be, but that is not for you, right? I could just tell, right? But you want someone who is in, like I said, different sceneries. Are they going to a museum? Whatever your preference is. Are they going to play? Are they vacationing? You know, like what are they doing? And then a lot of times is you can also tell by their not saying like their mannerisms, but sort of. We didn't even get to the mannerisms. We're talking about the background. Is it like a landfill in the back? Like is it like 20 types of pills on the tables? Like what is it? Pay attention to the background. Pay attention to the scenes. What type of people that they could possibly be around and taking these pictures, right? Because again, when you're on social media and if you are in a certain, let's say, career or something, you want to be mindful of that because people could just Google you, right? So those are some of the things. Now, have you tried possibly online dating?
I have not. And again, going back to the fears is, you were talking about pay attention to the background, pay attention to the pictures. My thing is that can be manipulated, so you can't really take that at face value. People, and that's the problem. That's one of the problems with social media is, people put out what they want to put out. And so, with dating profiles, people put pictures that they want to show, which it may not actually be the truth, So, I mean, not even talking about catfishing where people put up fake pictures of like celebrities, but just if it's their selves, how many people will actually, or not many people will put up an honest picture of themselves. Like even with my own profile, you know, should I go down that route? Like, of course, I'm not gonna, look all raggedy. I'm gonna put like a cute professional photo up there. So I think, I mean, what you're saying is true. Definitely, uh, look at the pictures and stuff like that, but also you got to keep in the back of your mind, like that stuff isn't always what it is. It can be very glittery and very, people can like put out a certain image. They could be very choosy about the image that they put out. But going back to your original question, I have not tried online dating. I mean, my brother did it, so it seemed to work out for him. Um, so, I mean, I am curious about that. I know a lot of those sites, you have to pay for those. So it's, there's also a financial thing, but I am curious, I mean, like I said, my brother did it and met his wife that way. So I don't know. I'm curious as well. I'm curious
Right.
about.
And so, I know some people may say, I am definitely not doing it, right? But here's the deal, too. If you went out and met someone, let's just say you go to, I don't know, like a grocery store, church, function, whatever, right? That same person could be also on the web, right? So we really don't know. And what I'm saying is use good common sense and discernment. Because you're right, anyone can be whomever they want to be. There could be people right in your area that you're like, okay, I see him walking the dog, he's going into the office, and next thing you know, he's a total different person online. Right? And that happens too. Right? And they just said, matter of fact, Jennifer Lewis, the actress, just talked about it, how she was on American Greed and how she even met someone who really, I mean, he just didn't catfish her. He just created a whole identity on her. And I mean, you're
Mhm.
talking about a celebrity now, right? So,
Yeah.
I mean, think about this lady's, her reach is like, she's been acting for what, 30, 40 years or whatever it is. And she was catfish. Go figure that. But I
Yeah.
have to say, like, I always recommend use just common sense. And then also, you know, set like parameters. If that's the area you choose, you may not. I mean, you could go to different functions. You got to get out there some way, and you have to be able to use, like I said, common sense and at least trust a little bit. Because if you're so guarded, then your chances of finding someone is a lot less, right? That's not saying
Yeah.
don't use common sense or any of these things, but what I'm saying is small things, like for instance, let's just say you went on a dating website, okay, and you set parameters about how far you're willing to travel. You'd be surprised that you may meet someone who actually knows someone in your area. And I'm going to give you an example. I remember I tried online dating. It was the weirdest thing. And you set the parameters, and next thing you know, we're on the phone. And I'm like, yeah, now this is many moons ago, but we were on the phone and he was traveling. I'm like, wow, my cousin and my father are traveling there too. He's like, really? And I'm telling him where it is. And next thing you know, he's confirming where he's going, which is the same place as my father and my cousin. And the weird part about this is we were talking about just different events that we had been to like a few years before. We have been in the same places. Like we have been at barbecues and parties, and we have been at the same places. We actually had pictures of each other in the picture. Didn't even know.
Okay.
That's one example. I can give you like three or four. I had now this is a little different. I met someone else who he was like 5 or 6 hours away. And he's like, yeah, I'm a undertaker. And I'm like, yeah, that's a different career. I mean, not saying knocking it, right? I was like, okay. He lived over in funeral home. So we're talking, and come to find out, he actually embalmed my stepmother's mother like years before. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And I asked her if she knew who he was. And she's like, oh yeah. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So go figure. The whole 6 degree of separation, it
Mhm.
really exists. Like you'd be surprised. I met someone else. I'm like, oh my gosh. These are so what I'm giving these examples to let you know that it's not, you gotta be mindful, but they're not so bad. I met someone else and come to find out he was the best friend of like a colleague's brother. And I'm like, oh man, really? So what I'm saying is, yeah, there's some kooks out there, but
Mhm.
there's people out there that they are into the same thing that you're into. But again, common sense. You're right. You can crop and do all these things. And I think social media makes it easier to catfish people because you can just swipe right or left. You can be a celebrity if you want to.
Yeah.
We didn't even talk about the psychosis of it. We didn't even get there.
Yeah, that's a whole other conversation.
That's a
Well,
whole other.
yeah, I think, just to jump in, I think what you're saying is true. It's there is, and maybe it is my frame of thought that I'm very guarded, I'm very insecure, and the thing about dating is I need to open myself up, and I need to take a leap of faith. I got to put myself out there. Um I guess I've have all these thoughts in my head about what can go wrong, and it's just, and I've what I told you about having, and men have tried to holler at me. So that's another topic, but because of those experiences and because of just my own insecurity, it's, I guess, I feel like I'm putting up a wall. But, and you're right, like there is a level of trust. There is a level of, you just got to take that leap of faith and see what happens. And You got to use common sense. And I guess it doesn't help me being so guarded. And sometimes I just got to open myself up and put myself out there more. Um, so it does put, what am I trying to say? Like it does show like what I am, and in terms of, you know, the fact that I'm kind of self-protecting. And it's just, sometimes you gotta just walk through the fire, to get to where you gotta go, and that's the reality of it.
But it's okay because you have to protect yourself. You definitely have to. And it's baby steps. You definitely need to protect yourself because, again, there's someone out there who is like, I mean, looking phenomenal, who may say, I love you, like woo you. And come to find out, I mean, they have all kind of issues. When I say issues, like things that it's just deal breakers for you, right?
Mhm.
So we understand that too. I mean, like, no, it's different. But then also, when you put yourself out there, let people in your circle know that you are, interested in dating. Have you actually went that route as well?
Uh, I mean, maybe one person. Um, I don't know if I want my business out there. I mean, well, I'm live, but I'm live right now. But um in terms of telling my circle, like I said before, I'm very introverted. I don't really keep a lot of friends around me. So I have not put it out there, but I'm putting it out there now. I haven't really told people that I was dating. Maybe like one of my friends, but I didn't really broadcast it like
And it's okay. And you know what?
that.
It's not something you tell everyone like, "Hey, I'm looking, I'm looking, I'm looking." No, you know how like in just general conversation, because I'm sure you get it. I'm not saying I'm sure, but people get it. I've gotten it. Like, why are you still single? It's always the age-old question. Why are you still single? And sometimes you have to throw it back at them like, well, why are you in a relationship that you're really not that happy with? Like people, we have to stop asking people who are single, why are they still single? And also, what is wrong with them?
Yeah.
Because
Oh,
there's nothing wrong with them, probably.
right. And even to interject there, I feel like why I mentioned my age in the beginning is because I feel like there's a societal pressure to be in a relationship, to get married, to have children, to lose a virginity. I feel like there's all these societal pressures that you have to meet all these milestones before like 50 years old. And it's like, why? Like why? So it's like even Mariah Carey, she didn't have kids till she was in her late 40s, so I mean, yeah, she's a celebrity, but all that to say is it's these pressures that, and I think it's women too. I think it's just women. I don't think men go through this, but there's all these societal pressures about you have to be in a certain place in your life by a certain age, and I I don't understand why that is. So when people ask like, why are you still single? What they're trying to say is you're not meeting your milestone. You're supposed to be married by 30. Like why are you not meeting your life milestones? So and I'm challenging that. Like, why are there milestones? I'll date whenever I'm ready. But it's or people say stupid things like, oh, why are you single? You're beautiful. What the hell does that mean? What the hell does that mean? So what if I were ugly? Like that would what does that mean? So yeah, there's all these societal pressures about being in a relationship, being married, all by a certain age in your life. And so, the fact that I put out my age, I'm 35, it's like there's an expectation, especially for women, I think, that you should, like, I should be married with a child by now. So, but I haven't fulfilled that. And so people look at me like I'm weird.
No, you're not weird. Please let me. You're not weird, okay? You're definitely not. Nowadays, people are waiting later to have children, right? Because, and it makes sense. Think about, and to each their own. So let me just put that out there. What if you were young and you had kids, right? Then you want to go, you want to travel, you want to go to school, like you talked about college, do all those things. So it takes time to fulfill your personal goals. So children and marriage may have not been in the cards for you at that time. You're still young, you're 35. If you decide, you know what, I'll date if it comes to that, but I just want to live my life. That's okay too, right? Because what you don't want to happen is, you're right. You get married, you have children early on, and then next thing you know, you're 40, 45 saying, I don't think I'm with my soulmate, or we're like together we're like really roommates. We're strangers in the night. So those are other stories too, but you met those goals and milestones, but then look what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not married. Okay. I've had people ask me, what's wrong with you? Yeah, but again, pose the question back to them. What's wrong with you? You've been in a marriage 20, 30 years and you're not even happy, but you met that milestone. Yeah. Even children, like when I had my daughter, I was 32. And I'm glad that I actually waited later, because it's almost like society comes up with all these crazy sayings, and they're almost like oxymorons, right? Because if you wait too late, you almost look like you're like an old maid, if you will, right? I don't even know if people still say that. But then if you have them earlier, they'll say you're too young to have kids now. You haven't lived. Well, what do you want people to do?
Oh man, yeah.
Be like, which one is it? And you're right. There's a lot of people actually waiting later to have children. There's nothing wrong with that. Because guess what? When the baby's crying, if they want to play at night at 2, 3 in the morning, chances are you and your mate, or you are getting up, meeting the needs of that kid. And there's people now who go get a surrogate or all kinds of things. Like, you don't even have to be in a relationship to have children. It is okay. It's your world.
Absolutely. I mean, granted, again, there's the financial aspect of surrogacy and all that, but the options are out there,
Right.
and there shouldn't be all these pressures and I find these pressures apply to people of color, I think. But as opposed to Caucasian people. But yeah, like there's so many things you can accomplish in life. So, you can get married later, have kids later. I will say it's not easy to have kids later in terms of biologically, but in terms of there's adoption, there's surrogacy, so the options are out there.
Yeah, fostering. I mean, there's all types of options out there. There is no rush. But again, I know I can't stress this enough. Please stop asking people why they're not married, why they're not single, why they don't have children. All of these things. A lot of those old antiquated sayings does not apply now. You have to catch up with the times and stop asking people these dumb questions. And
Like,
stop
wow.
asking them, what's wrong with you?
Yeah, it's like when people ask those questions, it's like an old school mentality that they
Yeah.
have, and it's like they don't they don't seem to realize that we're in a new age now, or people are getting, like I said, married later, having kids later, so they're pushing back against those milestones, and they're challenging society, they're challenging biology, they're challenging family expectations. So we're in a whole new era now, and we're not in the 1800s, 1700s anymore. We're in the late 2020s. So I think it's it's a whole new world now. So it's people are still stuck in those old school mentality of you should be married by now. You're 35. Why aren't you married yet? Why don't you have kids yet? And it's like, I'm not ready. I'm not there yet, and I don't have to. You know.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
so I think we do need to break down that old school mentality and just, hey, whenever you're ready.
Right.
I have a friend that I think she's in her maybe early 40s, and she's not married, she's not dating. So I think this pressure only applies to women, which is a whole other thing. I don't think men have this pressure. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it just falls. I feel like it's only women that have this pressure for some
It
reason.
could be because I
Yeah.
haven't heard too many men say that people ask them that question.
Mhm.
I haven't heard that at all. And so for me, I'm just like, stop asking people. Again, I'm happier because I waited longer. Because when I had my daughter, right, I was already in my career. I had already finished my master's, and it was better for me because mentally it was better. Because I mean, when you're paying $300 for this, and then $50 at that time for a box of diapers, and $100 for formula, whatever it is, right? Because you got to buy by the case because they use so much in clothes and all this. That stuff costs, right? And
Yeah.
when I had them, like at that point, I wanted to be able to just kind of chill because I've traveled, I've done different things, and for me, at that point, I was like, okay, you know what? I'm settled now. I'm okay. I could focus on her, right?
Yeah.
And it was fine. Now, am I tired now sometimes? Yeah, she's 14, so she kind of does her own thing. But we have to get out of those stigmas of asking people these questions, and it's okay. And then you mentioned something else about your career, right? Like you're busy. Aren't we all busy? I think for me, it seemed like I ramped up since COVID. Did you find
Yeah.
that?
Yeah. Especially now in this post-COVID world. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, think about it. You're working and then you have your podcast. Like you have a lot going on, and it's almost like you would ask, like, when do I actually have time for all of that?
I mean, I know, like, just to be realistic about it, if it's something that I really want, I would make the time for it. Um, which I probably should do. But yeah, it's 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 where you are in life, I think. And yes, I am open to dating. I'm curious about the apps. But at the same time, it's like I want to do things at my own pace, at my own schedule, and I don't want to do it because these expectations behind me making me do it. But it's when I'm ready to do it, pretty much.
Yeah, you don't. It's your
Mhm.
world. Like I said, you can do it when you're ready to do it. You don't have to do anything just because society says you have to. And then also, maybe don't even look. Sometimes things happen in the oddest times. You could be at your gas station and find someone. Who even know? Or they find you and you just kind of have like small talk, you know? You never know. You just don't know. You hear all these cool stories, like, I just happen to be, I don't even know if people go to the library anymore, but, I just happen to be at a coffee house or whatever's in your area. And I just happen to, talk to someone and we hit it off. You don't know.
That too. I guess I haven't been lucky on that front. Like, I think, what is it? Is the word serendipity? Like, you just happen to run into your soulmate, and you're at a random place, not even thinking about it, and then boom,
Yeah.
it comes out of nowhere. But I mean, I haven't had my moment, so I'm still waiting. But I don't know. I'll keep my options open. No, I guess it's like gas stations and libraries. I guess too many weird people have come up to me. But so that's where my guardedness comes from. I've been approached multiple times by men, but it's just too weird. But I mean, listen, I'm still waiting for my moment. So if my car breaks down and random guy comes in, here, I'll help you, you know, tow your car or whatever, and then that's it. That's my husband. I'm still open. I'm still open to those moments. So
Yeah. And I have to say, where you live plays a part. And I know some people may say, no, that's not the case, but it does. It is the case. And the reason why I say that is because I remember living in Pennsylvania. Most of the people in the area where I live were already married or in like long-term relationships. It was like a family-oriented place. And at the time I moved up there, it was great because that's where I was. But then to date, it was very difficult because everyone was already in a relationship of some sort. So it does play a part where you live. Now, do you find that where you live that is the case?
and a place. I mean, I'm in New York City, so
Oh, forget it. It doesn't apply. Never mind.
Wow.
You can go to the bodega and find somebody.
Just turn the corner.
Let me tell you. First of all, we're like sisters, right? Because you're in New York, I'm in Jersey, so we're like right there, like we're next to each other, right? Yeah. And let me tell you, that does not apply. If you wanted to, you can actually probably go on a date every day. I mean, it is literally somebody out there, okay? But let's talk about you being hollered at now. Like you say, look, I have people holler at me now. But so what's going on with that?
Oh, that we're not okay. So we're not saving it for another episode. But yeah, I've had just minding my business, walking down the street. I remember this was again minding my business. Random guy comes up to me and he's like, "Hey, can I?" And I think he was one of he was driving the dollar vans. So he was like, "Hey, can I talk to you?" And me being naive is like, "Okay, what could you want to talk to me about?" So I actually go to the van and he's like, "Hey, you're sexy. Can I have your number?" And I'm like, "No," and I just walked away. Oh God! And then I had another instance. I think one of the contractors was working on my mom's house, and he's like, "Hey, beautiful, how you doing?" And I'm like, "No, don't talk to me." I've been, I've been followed home. I've been, um, there was a random note on my car one day, and I'm like, I don't, what is this? So I called the number. No, I texted the number. Yeah, there was a random posted on my car one day, and I was like, but there was a phone number on it, and I was like, what is this? Is everything okay? And then I text the number, and then I get a text back like, hey, are you single? I'm looking. I'm like, why? Why do I always fall for these things? So it's like I just stopped texting that person. So it's and I had another instance where I had a delivery person came to my house and they know your number from the app. And so he delivered the food, he left, and then I get a text back like, "Hey, are you single?" So I'm like, no, no, don't talk to me. So it's too many, and I guess that's part of where my guardedness, putting it all together, that's part of where my guardedness comes in, where I really have been approached by multiple men throughout my life, and just, hey, you're sexy, hey, you're beautiful, can I get your number? And I'm like, I don't want to talk to you, I don't know you.
Right,
So
but see, that's kind of like the whole point. That's why I kind of wanted to bring it up a little today, because that's the whole point, right? Because
yeah.
whoever was working on mom's house, right? Guess what? He could have been a great person. He could be fixing your house, fixing your sink, and all that stuff. He could have been a good person. No,
No. It's uh, I don't know. It's to me, and I guess it's me in my head. Like, if that's the first thing that you do is talk about my looks, I feel like it's like, how do I know you're not a crazy person? You know, I can't. You can't just be walking up to people like that.
yeah,
So,
but now think about it. Men are visual, right? What is
mhm.
wrong with a man coming and say, you know, I find you attractive, beautiful, or whatever? Because maybe he does. You
No,
know,
but then I hear that all the time, and it's like, say something new, and it's like, I really, and then looks fade. Are you gonna say I'm beautiful 30 years from now?
he might.
You know, so it's like, when my skin is sagging and my hair is, everything is drooping. Okay, that's what happens when you starting in your 30s. Things just start drooping. So it's like, are you gonna say that 30 years from now,
He
40
might.
years from now?
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't want the focus on my looks. I'd rather the focus be on my actions, my personality, what I do for you, so I've been men and women, have told me I'm beautiful all the time, and I appreciate it, but it's at the same time it does get annoying, because then it's like, I feel like it's an easy way out, or it's a cop out, and it's like, you're you're focusing on something superficial that can change over time, and I want the focus on my actions, my personality, like, oh, I like the way you help so and so, or I like the way that you do, something that I want the focus on, more on what I do as opposed to how I look. So
I understand, but you know what? Honestly, I think it's nice when someone compliments you. And maybe they do feel like you're beautiful. It doesn't necessarily mean the physical part.
mhm.
Maybe it's just something that kind of caught their attention about you, right? Maybe they didn't go into details, but maybe you could have been doing something at that moment that made you a beautiful person. For instance, right? I don't know. I'm just kind of throwing it out there. Maybe you were helping someone. Maybe you were doing something or whatever. It's nothing wrong with complimenting, because what I find is that people don't compliment enough. And so, when someone does compliment, it's like, why are you doing that? Because there was a time where you didn't hear it. And it's nice to hear it. You could be in the next 10, 20 years just as attractive. And I always have to lean back on my mother, right? It's like she's like 65, right? No plastic surgery, none of that. And I swear, to me, she's just as attractive now as she was 20 years ago. And I'm not saying that because my mother, because believe me, we're like brutally honest, but it's the truth. Some people they're just beautiful on the inside and outside. They may have not gone into detail about that with you, but we don't know what they could have been seeing. Because again, you are a beautiful person. And I'm not saying it necessarily looks, but just your demeanor. You have like a really genuine spirit about yourself. And people can see that. It doesn't take long to see it. Think about it. I hate to say it like this, but it's the truth. If you are in New York, right,
Mm-hmm.
within one day, you can go through about 15 different countries. Think about it, right? I mean, there's like different, there's, I call it different places, but you can go to China, Italy, like all these places. So you kind of you have the discernment to just sense nonsense easier, right?
Mm-hmm.
You don't know what that person could have been seeing in you. You could have been that way. You could have been a beautiful person. You don't know.
I mean, it's also where it's also context as well, and it's also like where are you giving me this compliment? There's nothing wrong with compliments. It's just if the first 10 minutes of meeting me, you're like, hey, you're beautiful, like you. It's like you don't know my name, you don't know anything about me. Like, how do you know I'm not a serial killer? How do you know I'm not trying to kill you? So it's like get to know me first. In my mind, I'm like, get to know me first before you compliment me. So it's don't do it in like the first 5 minutes.
Well, I'm gonna give
Because that
you
don't
two
immediately
examples.
turn me off.
Yeah, I'm gonna give you two examples. So they're both in the chat. Sandra and my cousin Josephine, right? Sandra and I were in a group together, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm telling you, she's still the same person. She's just a very beautiful person. She's physically attractive, but she's just a genuinely great person. Sandra's out of Texas. If I call Sandra right now, Sandra is always on, so she got kids, they're in all kind of activities, all kind of stuff. If I call Sandra right now, Sandra's gonna pick up the phone and she'll call me right back just to help me answer any question. My cousin Josephine, so she married my cousin, right? They've
Mm-hmm.
been married like over 20 years. She's still the same beautiful person when he met her as she is now. She has not changed. She's just a beautiful person. She really is. Do anything for you, very mild mannered. To me, two examples of beautiful people. When I met Sandra, we just talked on the phone for like 5 or 10 minutes. I was asking her a question. We were trading together. And she was at work at the time, and she took the time to explain this whole process to me like at least 3 or 4 times. And I've asked her the same question, probably more than that. Still a beautiful person. So sometimes the reason why I'm saying is because sometimes we have to we can't be so guarded. Not saying you don't have common sense, not saying you can't be, but there's people out there that's just genuine people. And nowadays, right, to take it a step further, you could have known people all your life, right? But you may have 50 or 20 great people on social media who will support you that you've never met in person. Think about it, right? Look how you and I, if I reach out to you and I be like, Gabrielle, what is this? What is this? Can you help me with this? You were on it. To me, that's a beautiful person.
Right, but then you got to know me. You determined that I was beautiful through our relation, through my actions. Through getting to know me, through rapport. That's what I mean. So there's different standards of beauty, right? So when the focus is on my looks, and you never met me, you never developed a rapport, we never like I said, like men and women have just come up to me and be like, hey, you're beautiful. And I mean, I say thank you. I don't want to be rude, but it's also irritating to me because it's like that's the first thing you say. Like, you, how do you know I'm not trying to steal your money? So it's like you haven't you haven't made the effort to get to know who I am first before you did all that. So I may be guarded in that way, but don't just come up to me and be like, you're beautiful. Like, I want you get to know me first, figure me out first, know how I work, how I tick. Then you could say whatever you want to say. So I feel that's what I'm saying. If you want to call me beautiful, that's fine, but I want it because you saw what I did for you. You saw what I did for somebody else, not because of us.
Okay.
So,
Okay. So how would you want
me
someone?
first? That's all I'm saying.
Okay. So how would you want to be approached? I'm just asking. How would you rather someone?
That's a good question. Therein lies the question. Um,
Okay, let's say for instance, right? You at the bodega on the corner, right? Or you going to get coffee, donuts, whatever it is. How would you? What would you feel comfortable with? Because sometimes you could be so guarded that you're not approachable. So, how would you want someone, or you feel comfortable with them approaching if they're possibly be interested in you? Like, what would you want? How would you
I
want?
don't. That's the thing too. Like, it's like, why am I at the bodega? Like, if I need, I don't know. I feel like it's all about timing as well. Like, it's like, why? It's like, why am I at the bodega? Like, did the electricity go out on the block for everybody, and we just so happen to start talking? Like, it's, or is it because, like, hey, I just need some milk. So it's, I guess it's, I don't know. Like, I feel like if I'm kind of in my own world, maybe I don't want to be approached, but it's all, I guess it's situation. I don't know. It's situational.
It could be
Like, there
okay.
has to be some sort of like catastrophe going on, and like, or there's an event that all of us are attending. Like, maybe we're all at a wedding, or maybe we're all at a conference, or like, there has to be some sort of like common goal, I think, or common event going on. I think, like, so, like, I mean, don't just walk up to me at a bodega, like, like, to me, it's like, I want to be like this in the same boat with somebody, so, like, there has to me is like, there has to be some sort of like intervening event, in order for, so that I'm okay with being approached. Like, so, like, if I'm driving home, like, don't just, like, I don't know if that's an appropriate time. You see me walking to my house, hey, like, I don't know you, you know, but, if I'm walking home because, everyone's basement flooded or something, and we're all kind of, well, that's a little extreme, but um, I guess it, it depends on the situation. I think that's what I'm trying to say. So if I'm trying to just be in my, just like, and I'm introverted too, so I'm very picky about, when people can approach me as well. But if I'm just trying to get home, I'm just trying to survive, now's not the time to be like, hey, sweet thing, you know. But like, if some, if there's like if we're at a party, or if we're at a wedding, or where we all, it's very like a community type sense, then I think it's okay. But so it pick your spots. That's all. If that's my answer to that question.
Yeah, but they're not going to know when the right spot or time is.
That's,
You're gonna know. You could be at a library looking at. I'm not using library because I don't know if people know. But you can be. Let's say you're at a cookout, right? And so, is that the right time when you're like picking up a piece of rib or something, or a burger? Is that the right time? Is the right time when you're like a church function or whatever it is? Like, when is the time?
I don't I don't know. But if in the first 5 minutes you're talking, if the first 5 minutes of meeting me, you're like, hey, you're beautiful, that turns me off. I'm sorry. But if it's, I would just, if, get to know me first. Like, hey, wow, what do you think of this party? Like, hey, don't look like you're trying too hard. Like, oh, are you you brought your kids with you, or what am I trying to say? Like just like a casual, hey, what brings you to this party, or something like you're not trying to hit on me. And it's like, oh, and if it's just, oh, we're talking, we're getting to know each other, you know, I I don't know. I don't know the answer to that, but it's all to me because I do interviews for my company as well, and it's like that first impression thing is right. In the first 10 minutes, you can figure somebody out. So in the first 10 minutes, if you're like, "Hey, beautiful," you look like you walked out of my dreams, and I'm like, "No, I'm sorry, I'm shutting you down now." But it's like in the first 10 minutes, you're like, "Hey, what brings you out here?" And if it actually looks like you want to know who I am, or you want to know my name, it's that is you know that I think will help me be more open. So I
But
think
you're
it's all about the
dating.
approach.
Yeah. But you're just dating. Right. So when you go
That's
out,
it.
you're not even in a relationship. Like you didn't get that part where you're in a relationship. Let's say, for instance, you go out, right? And someone say, hey, you're attractive, blah, 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 whatever, right? But you're just like, you just may go out and have coffee together or something simple. It's not saying you're going to get in a relationship with them. It's just you're going to go out and just maybe have a good time initially. It's not saying that you're already saying, you know what, we're going to get in a relationship. No, you may not even like that person, or they do something crazy that just kind of turns you off. So
Mm.
you haven't even gotten that part yet. You just happen to just meet a person. We know, and like you say, interview, right? Within 5 or 10 minutes, we already know if we want to even possibly be bothered with a conversation for an hour. You automatically know that, right? So what if they say, oh, you're attracted, hey, let's go grab some coffee sometime or whatever. It's not like you invested time and effort into a situation like that for like 45 minutes an hour. You have not, it's like you haven't invested anything into it yet.
Yeah, but like it a whole don't just walk up to me and be like, "Hey, can I have a cup of coffee with you?" I'm like, "You didn't even do you know what my name is?" Like it's it's I don't know. I'm very I don't want and I don't want to be dating for 10 years either. Like you'll have those people that's like, "Oh, I've been constantly dating." And it's like I feel like eventually I do want to get married. So whoever I date, I want them to have that same goal. So I know it's like, just date and stuff, but eventually I do want to get married. And I do want to have when I date, I want to have that in mind. Like I want someone that I will end up marrying. So I do have that long term goal. And so I don't want just a random date, or a random hookup. It's just, can I see you? Can I be with you long term? And I, which brings me to my other topic of, why do I still believe in marriage? But it's eventually, I do want to be married with kids. And do I, and I have to look at that person and say, are you that person that I can be married to? Are you that person I can have kids with? So when
Right.
I date, I want to date with the intention of, can I marry you? Can I have kids with you? So I have the long term goals.
Right. Well, that's not dating. That's your
Mhm,
courting. Because
mhm,
courting means that you are in a relationship with them with the intentions of getting married.
mhm,
Dating just means that we're just hanging out, having a good time. Whatever happens, fine. But I always tell people, I'm like, look, do not get into a situation, like already have in your mind what you would like to do. It may not be with that person, but have in your mind what your end goal is going to be. The reason why I say it is because so often I hear people who say they get into these situations and I say, well, what's going on with you guys? Well, we're just going to see where it goes. That's where it's going. And you're like, where? Nowhere. It's not going to go anywhere. When you leave these when you leave it open like that and say we're going to see where it goes, it's not going to go anywhere, because what you're doing is it's almost like an open-ended question. It can go in so many directions until someone says, you know what, I eventually want to, be serious with you and marry. But dating is just what it is. It's dating. You just, hey, we're gonna go out, and like I said, I mean, I was probably a bad example when I say, hey, you want to grab a cup of coffee? Let me tell you, right? Sometimes you meet people in the weirdest places. I met someone a couple years ago. We were at Home Depot looking at discounted trees after Christmas to see about discounts, and we just started talking. My daughter always says, she's like, Mom, you always meet a friend everywhere you go. And I'm like, you think so? But we were just talking, we were talking for like almost an hour about Christmas trees. And I felt like an hour, like I had a pretty good idea what he was about. Did he go anywhere? No. That wasn't my mindset or anything like that. But, because once you start showing me like your bank accounts and things like that, you're right, like right there. Okay, for somebody else, maybe that would impress them. For me, I'm just like, that's just the account. Like, I didn't need to know that. I didn't even care, But the whole point is me saying, you just never know when you're gonna have conversation with people. You never know.
Yes, and I mean, in that instance, you had something in common, right? You were looking at Christmas trees, and he was looking at Christmas trees as well.
Yeah, I don't even know if it started like that. It was just weird how that. I don't even know how that even started. I probably asked him to help me with this. Honestly, like, how they have them little flat truck things in their store where you can put boxes on, and it's like a cart, but it's a flat cart.
Yeah.
I asked him to help me with that cart thing because I couldn't like steer it good. And then I was like, oh yeah, they got some trees right here for sale, with discount. And we started talking that way. But that's how it even started. I mean, again,
you keep bringing up Home Depot. Maybe I need to go to Home Depot.
I'm just giving examples, right? And the reason why I say that is, right, because, and I'm just giving that as an example because I just told my coworker this not too long ago. She's an avid runner, right? Like she runs marathons, and she was looking to date. And for some crazy reason, I was like, "Did you go to Home Depot this morning?" She was like, "Where are you going to meet these guys?" Right? Seriously, because I'm like, maybe I said, and I told her, I said, when you go to the doctor's, because she had to go get like, checked her heart and all that. I'm like, well, have you started talking to the doctor? She's like, he's single. I was like, yeah. Now you guys have a commonality because he runs, you run. Hey, you run together. So I just use the Home Depot as an example, but you just never know where you're gonna meet someone. I mean, again, you're in New York. Like, who even knows? Like, you can meet. I don't know. You can meet someone in Central Park. I don't know. It can be just anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
But those are just the examples I have. But I'm just saying, But again, it's no rush. It's okay. It's fine. It's gonna be at the weirdest time, and you're gonna be like, "Oh my gosh, I just met someone, and they were a great person."
Yeah.
Yeah. See. And I'm open-minded. I'm not crazy. I'm just open-minded. I got discernment. I got common sense. Because we don't want to see them on the next 48 and they got that blur over their face. Like, look, if it happened to Jennifer Lewis and she's a celebrity, it could happen to anyone. He just didn't realize she would put him on blast like that and be on American Greed, but it can happen anywhere. She was. I'm like, why is Jennifer Lewis on American Greed? Because she was catfished. I'm like, and he told her, he had a whole story. You got to watch it. He told her he was been to Harvard and like all kind of stuff. He gave her his whole rundown, which was totally not true. Totally. But listen, we got this got to be a part 2 and 3. We already said
Yeah, we did.
2 and 3. So I want to say thank you so very much for coming on, because again, you might come across as being guarded, and you kind of do in the beginning, but you know what? You are really a great person. You really are. I have to say, you really are a great person. So yeah, you come across. No, it's not guarded. It's just direct. Like,
yeah.
no nonsense. There's nothing wrong with that. It's not wrong that like once they get through that, you're like a great person. You really are.
Thank you. And I
You
accept that compliment. Thank you.
You are. Because you know what? And it's not like that just with like guys. It's like even me initially, we were talking about how we even started talking, right? We were talking like podcast, and you were like very direct. And I was like, okay, I can deal with that. Because I like fairness, not like directness, because you know what? At least I know where you're coming from. But you have always helped me. It's like it's the same. But if a person wants to get to know you, they'll get to know you, point blank, right? That's how
You're
I
going to
feel.
earn it.
Yeah,
You're
you
going to earn it.
yes, they do. They do. Well, like I said, thank you so very much for coming on again. We got to do a part 2 and 3. You already know that.
I'm down. I'm down. Let's do this.
Yes, yes, we have to. So I appreciate you. Let them know where they can find.
Okay. I am going to, excuse me, I am going to stop right there. So it's interesting rewatching that and just watching myself grapple, with, the thoughts in my mind versus, what Dr. Spencer is telling me. And oh, wait, let me stop sharing. Yeah, so just kind of watching that back and forth, and she's challenging my thoughts, and I'm challenging her back. So it's interesting to rewatch that. But yeah, but it's in seeing that, I was seeing I guess the onion, like an onion, like the peels peeling back a bit in terms of what I'm looking for. Um, because like I mentioned, I've been followed, I've been randomly approached. So it's like I'm not that open, but it's like I don't want to be guarded either, and so I want to put myself out there as well. So it's interesting rewatching that and just seeing the back and forth and the challenging and try this, try that. I'm like, but no, I don't know about all that. So it's interesting watching that back and forth, and just rewatching that. So, but yes, but I wanted to share that conversation with you, as it is hot topics, right? And I'm sure I'm not the only one who has that internal conflict. So I wanted to put that out there for you guys. All right. So, but that is the end of that presentation. And now it is time to wrap up this episode. So thank you again for watching yet another, excuse me. Oh, my throat is dry. Watching or listening to another episode of Hot Topics. Let me just take a moment to remind you that Hot Topics is a part of my tutoring company, A Step Ahead Tutoring Services. We offer one-on-one tutoring. We do test prep, college counseling, editing and proofreading, as well as several workshops. So if you are in the market for any of those, or maybe your child is struggling right now in school, there's a big test coming up, look us up. Look us up, you guys. Our website is www.astepaheadtutoringservices.com. You could also find us on multiple social media platforms. Just type in A Step Ahead Tutoring Services and we will pop up. We're on the common ones, Facebook, what formerly known as Twitter, X, Instagram, TikTok. So please follow us on our multiple social media platforms. But the best way to learn more about us and our services is going to our website. Once again, I will share the website. It is www.astepaheadtutoringservices.com. So that information is scrolling below at the bottom of the screen for my video people. But for my audio/podcast people, I did not forget about you. The information is in the description right now. So wherever you are taking in the sound of my voice, the information is provided to you one way or another. So I wanted to highlight that. I also want to encourage you guys, wherever you are taking in this episode, whether it is on YouTube or Spotify or any kind of podcast platform, I encourage you to leave a comment in the comment section or in the comment below right now. I also encourage you to drop a rating. So let me know your thoughts about this episode. It helps us a lot. So did you like it? Did you hate it? Whatever it is, drop a note, drop a rating. Please let us know your thoughts on this episode, and let that help us with the algorithm. Help people to find us by dropping a comment below or in the comment section or giving us a rating. So, but let us know your thoughts about this episode. I will appreciate it. All right, you guys. Thank you again for joining me. Sorry. Thank you again for joining me on another episode of Hot Topics. I look forward to you joining me on the next episode. Thank you, guys. And now I am signing off. Bye, guys.